Segregation in Blackburn is increasing.
We're here to stay, there's no point in running.
They live in their areas and we live in our areas.
Isolation, segregation, division.
Never the twain shall meet.
We've been here for generations. This is our country.
All we want is our country back.
Fear of the unknown is probably our biggest element.
Okay, why are you here? You need to move away from this Stone Age mentality.
We have a divided country.
20, 30 years, something's going to happen.
It'll take over eventually.
I think Blackburn will eventually become a completely Muslim Asian town.
Should I stay or should I
go? Blackburn, Lancashire. A town with an identity crisis. There are many ethnic groups here, but according to the latest census, the two biggest are around 100,000 white British people and roughly 40,000 Asians or British Asians, many of whom are Muslim. The question is, how well do they get along?
I think Muslim community has grown that much now. The majority of areas are Asian. We're here to stay, we're not going to go anywhere, so, there's no point in running.
10 years ago, we filmed a religious parade in the mainly Muslim Asian area, Whalley Range.
It's the anniversary of the birth of the Prophet Muhammad, but not everyone's cheering. Some whites here feel they're being taken over.
Morning.
Morning.
What do you think of it all?
Rubbish.
Rubbish?
Rubbish.
Why'd you say that?
There is a lot of friggin' rubbish.
Fast forward to today, the parade is significantly larger. Over a 10-year period, in this area, the white British population dropped by half. As a whole, Blackburn has a majority white British population, but over 10 years, their numbers fell by 10%.
Weeks of simmering racial tensions finally erupted last night as more than 500 Asian youths fought pitched battles with riot police.
Professor Ted Cantle was the government advisor who wrote the report into the riots. We spoke to him 10 years ago.
Certainly the separation between communities was a factor in those riots. There was no trust, no understanding between the different communities.
So has the problem of divided communities got better or worse since then?
Segregation in Blackburn is increasing in residential terms, in school terms, probably in social terms as well. I think it has to be seen as a warning for all towns and cities in the UK. I think Blackburn feel that the focus shouldn't always be on them, and actually they are right, because the statistics show that there are many other towns and cities where polarisation of populations is increasing.
In just a decade, there was almost a four-fold increase in the number of areas with a non-white majority. So why have communities become so much more separated?
So what's your views on kind of having a relationship with someone who's not the same culture as you? What would your parents think?
My mum would be more lenient with me, but then I feel like another part of my family would just be more, you shouldn't do that, you should stick to your own culture, your own religion, it's better, it fits into the family more. It's just everybody's still the same, that you need to move away from this Stone Age mentality.
So if you were, Kira, if you were to bring home an Asian boyfriend?
Probably wouldn't go down too well.
Okay.
We've been here for generations in this country. This is our country. So why do we have to justify every time somebody calls out Allahu Akbar?
In 2015, Dame Louise Casey was asked by the government to write a review into integration policy.
We are living with the consequences of not managing migration and immigration effectively. We've done a bit of it, but we haven't been on it to the degree that we need to do so. And I think we have a divided country.
The Casey Review highlighted that over 10 years, the population of the UK rose by 4.1 million, more than half of that the result of immigration. More than a year later, Louise Casey still hasn't had a response from the government.
I am disappointed, which is why I think it's really good that Panorama is raising these issues again. They're not only around Blackburn, these are national issues that we ought to be able to talk about.
Over the last decade, the issue that Blackburn's white British community has found hardest to talk about is the very visible social and demographic change taking place here.
As non-drinking Muslims have moved into new areas of Blackburn, one after another, local pubs have closed down altogether.
Well, it used to be the Dog Inn. What it is now, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. It's some sort of Islamic centre, but I don't know what it is. Any house in this area goes up for sale, it's 100% that it'll be an Asian that buys it.
Mary, who lives opposite the former pub, now an Islamic community centre, is selling up after 28 years.
No, it's just we're moving out and just wondered if there was something was eventually going to happen. And
Where are you moving from?
we're here.
Who's buying it? Their ethnicity. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, they are, but it's...
They're Asian.
It's the state of this that just gets us down. English isn't a common language, unfortunately. We have really lovely neighbours. But, yeah, I feel like we feel very, very uncomfortable. I think we stuck it out as long as we could do. I think Blackburn will eventually become virtually a completely Muslim Asian town. And the thing is, it seems to have been like, it's been quite rapid. And I think that's what I think frightens you a little bit.
They would say, I'm living in a country that doesn't feel like mine anymore. Well, in some areas of that country, that's true. You know, I wrote in my report, the pace and scale of immigration has possibly been too much. The Home Office were not happy with that language being used in my report, but I stuck with it because it's true.
Some parts of the country have felt the effects of immigration more than others.
It's been more or less a total close down in the Asian areas of pubs.
Why is that?
Because Asians don't drink. The nightclubs had shut and a lot of the pubs had shut. There's nothing going on. It's become, you know, like the specialists said, a ghost town.
Nazir Musa, a former Lancashire police officer whose family are from India, came over to speak to us. For a local Muslim, he has his own take on what's going on around here.
The mosques, the madrasas, the Islamic schools should be regulated. There's a lot that's going on in there which is breeding extremism, and nobody's even picking that up.
He's concerned that Blackburn's Muslim Asian community is becoming more insular and not making enough effort to integrate.
In terms of integration and harmony in the Western world in England today, we should be integrated a lot more. And I see little children, you know, young girls, 5, 6 years old, going to these Islamic schools, which I disagree with. You know, they're covered up. What's that all about?
And today she teaches English to new immigrants and helps them learn how to integrate into British society.
Everybody feels that we should be living together. Do you have a question, madam?
What do you mean British value?
$6 million question. Even the Prime Minister has not been able to tell us what that means. British values are 4 concepts: democracy, rule of law, individual liberty, and tolerance of other faiths. Do you have a question?
Do I need to eat, dress, and particular why to tell people I respect British values?
Do I need to dress in a particular way? No. British values does not mean that you have to forget your identity. They feel that you can only be British if you give up being who you are. That's not the case. But they need to feel, I can live in United Kingdom, I can wear my headscarf or my veil, I can eat my chicken curries, and I can still live peacefully.
One of the most divisive cultural issues affecting integration has been the wearing of the niqab, or full face veil.
Thinking about the times you drove in my car.
One of our local cabbies says he's noticed a dramatic increase over the last decade.
I think there's been a 60% increase. So, yeah, you know, if they want to wear a veil, yeah, good for them.
I have yet to meet any single woman or girl who said to me, I wear it because I'm actually forced to do it. What's the question, Ghazala?
Why do many people don't like us Muslim?
Interesting.
Many of Anjum's students wear the veil and have experienced hostility from local people.
Now I feel very bad because they speak very bad word to us.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So that's why I want to ask you how to respect all the Muslims.
Thank you. That's really upset you, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Let me get your hanky. It creates a separateness between you and them. They want to feel comfortable within themselves. Is that really so wrong? Is it terribly wrong?
People dressed head to foot in black and we can't see their faces is just difficult for us as a culture. There's no way around it. And when that's happening at significant volume, we're uncomfortable with it. You know, if a man walked in here in a balaclava, I'd be uncomfortable with it.